In this video, we'll discuss Spark regression using UnifyML SQL. You will see the gradient-boosted tree regression using a UnifyML query. Here, we run our Spark gradient-boosted tree regression using UnifyML SQL. Now, let's see a simple gradient-boosted tree regression using UnifyML SQL. Spark gradient-boosted tree regression requires specifying the input table, input columns, and target column to be predicted. Data scaling. Data scaling is used to normalize data. Here, we apply the MinMaxScaler. For MinMaxScaler, specify the minimum and maximum values, ensuring that the data persists between 0 and 1. The model is saved for further predictions using Spark gradient-boosted tree regression on this table. There are many more parameters in the gradient-boosted tree model. You can refer to the UnifyML documentation for details. Input data types. If you want to change the data types of input columns, use the input data type parameter. Max bins defines the maximum number of bins used for discretizing continuous features. Maximum depth sets the maximum depth of the tree. Maximum iterations specifies the number of iterations. Min-info gain defines the minimum information gain required for a split at a tree node. Seed param sets the random seed. Training sample size splits data into training and test datasets, specifying the portion allocated for training. Hyperparameter tuning used to generate the best model. There are two tuning methods, train validation and cross-validation. For hyperparameter tuning, additional parameters include max bins param defines the maximum number of bins for discretizing features. Maximum depth specifies the maximum depth of the tree. Maximum iterations sets the number of iterations. Min-info gain defines the minimum information gain threshold. Random seed ensures reproducibility. Parallelism enables parallel computation. Number of folds defines the number of partitions for training and test datasets. Partition column specifies the column on which partitioning should be based. PCA model. If you want to apply PCA, mention the input PCA model name. Save model and output model saves the train model for future use. Data cleaning. There are 4 data cleaning methods: remove row, remove duplicates, remove outliers, and fill. Fill with values replaces null values or modifies specific data entries. Data scaling. There are 4 scaling methods: MinMaxScaler, Standard Scaler, Normalizer, and Binarizer. For MinMaxScaler, specify the minimum and maximum values. Input cache ID. If data is previously saved in a cache, mention the input cache ID instead of the input table name. Bytes per chunk defines chunk size for processing. These are all the input arguments for Spark gradient-boosted tree regression. Specify the required arguments based on your data. Now let's run this query. This query will execute in the backend of our UnifyML server. The output includes MSE value, MAE value, RMSE value, our superscript 2 value, accuracy, and the saved output model. Now let's see the gradient-boosted tree regression predict function. Spark gradient-boosted tree regression predict requires specifying the input table and the saved model name. Additional parameters include input data types. If you need to change column data types, specify the input data type parameter. Data cleaning. There are 4 methods: remove row, remove duplicates, remove outliers, and fill. Fill with values replaces null values or modifies data entries. Data scaling. 4 scaling methods: MinMaxScaler, Standard Scaler, Normalizer, and Binarizer. For MinMaxScaler, specify the minimum and maximum values. Input cache ID. If data is stored in the cache, mention the input cache ID instead of the input table name. Save to DB. If you want to store predicted data in a database, use the Save to DB option with the output table name. Override output table. If the output table already exists, set this Boolean parameter to true to overwrite. Save to CSV. If you want to save the predicted dataset as a CSV file, specify the Save to CSV option, output CSV name, and bytes per chunk. These are all the input arguments for Spark gradient-boosted tree regression predict. Specify your input arguments based on prediction requirements. Now let's run this query. This query will execute in the backend of our UnifyML server. The output includes input columns and the predicted column. Using this method, You can perform regression on any dataset using Spark gradient-boosted tree regression based on your requirements. Thank you for watching this video.